good to see all of you here. Lots of faces that I've seen for a long time at these different sessions, so welcome again, and to anybody new. I'm Geoff Roberts. I look after the global strategy for the energy and resource element within the Primavera, or the Construction, Energy and Business Unit of Oracle. So today I want to talk really about everything around digital transformation in the project management and project control sphere. Obviously, what you should be looking for, how we influence that, and really just a general discussion around the future. That's really what we're trying to do. You know, digital is the way forward, we all know, and it's really how we see that moving forward. I come from Oracle, so we get one of these irrespective. So, this is a concatenation, a conglomerate of a lot of sentences that come out from the advisors that are talking to the community. So the McKinseys, PwCs, even Oracle. And it's really trying to stress the difference between transformation and change. Okay? So we've, to date, talked a lot about change and business change. Change is something that, in essence, if you look at it in any dictionary, it's something you can revert back from, okay? Whereas transformation is really about a completely fundamental rethink about how you do business, okay? And it's something that you can't, in essence, track back from, okay? So, therefore, you have to put a lot of thought in up front, but once you do, then it actually is how you change your business, okay? Obviously, thinking through that, it's about how, from a project management and controls perspective, what does that do? Okay, and obviously the big thing we're looking for is increased in productivity, okay, and delivering savings. That's really what we want to do when we do a transformation around capital projects, okay. So if we look at the latest report from the UK infrastructure team, okay? This really sets a scene for how we in the UK look at industry. And these are the mega projects. Obviously, each department has its own portfolio, but this is the portfolio that's managed effectively by this team, okay? In their annual report, 38 projects were at risk of significant overspend. So those are billion-dollar projects. So obviously anything that they can do to influence them is significant. But more importantly, they all own billions of dollars of projects in portfolios which are smaller capital projects, part of their overall overarching portfolio of day-to-day business, be it maintenance, be it CapEx, whatever it may be. So different flavors, but in essence, it's the same message. It's about how we can influence that. So why are we in this position? Okay, there's a number of these studies. This is a recent one from McKinsey. But in essence, productivity in construction is poor. Productivity in construction hasn't really changed over the last 30, 40, 60 years. So if we look at where construction productivity is, and you know, it's in essence flatlined, it may be about 5% growth over that time, okay? Manufacturing has grown to the tune of about 700%, okay? Farming has improved to the tune of about 1,500% in that same time frame, okay? Through learning, improved processes, taking account of technology, they've grown their productivity, and we can see that. You know, we can see how, you know, the Toyota approach influenced manufacturing. We can see how farming has changed completely over its time, and yet, still to this day, and I include myself in this, having been part of the construction industry for, you know, as long as I've been here, you know, we are still flatlined. We still talk as if we're doing a great job. And some projects are doing a great job, but overall, if we look at the aggregate, we don't deliver in this industry. And we're not improving. I think that's the important message. We're not improving. You know, look at that orange line. It's pretty much static. It hasn't changed. Now, there are reasons for that. If we look at this, which is really trying to depict collaboration within all these different sectors, okay, what you see is really in the financial services and manufacturing, everything's around the red dots, and red is more internal driven processes. Lots of internal collaboration, okay? Then we look at the construction approach to collaboration, and everything is all about blue dots, which is really the supply chain. And that makes sense, because in essence, we as, and you as owners talk about building capital projects. You, in essence, don't build the capital projects. You have a whole raft of contractors, subcontractors, vendors that are actually providing kit, providing services to develop and build that particular asset. So in essence, bringing together the supply chain actually drives the need for that collaboration based just on what you see here. So you can start to understand why productivity is where it is, because we have to, in this industry, try and bring all of those people together to understand the common understanding of what we're moving forward with. This is a very recent report from McKinsey, and this is really useful for us as an industry if we take account of it, okay? And I say if we take account of it. We think about some of the industries we come from. The Internet of Things has been around for a significant period of time, okay? All of those lessons learned that the production areas of your business are taking account of from the Internet of Things, you take that information and optimize your processes. So you actually learn from what that information is telling you. In the project management and project control sphere, we've had the same information being pushed out now for years from PwC, McKinsey, Accenture. All of the advisors have been doing these lessons learned reviews of major projects. And they've come up with a whole host of why it would make sense and the potential benefits. So on the one hand, we take account of review, lessons learned and information. And yet when we come into our own sphere of influence, the project management and controls, we ignore it. So there's all of this data that says you would do better if you did, and we do nothing about it. And it's not like it's just one report. These reports are coming out every 3 to 4 months from different advisors with lessons learned reviews about how beneficial it would be. And still to this day, we don't. So this is the latest one. And just 2 sentences within that report, okay? Digital technology is disrupting capital projects. And if it's not, it should be. You know, let's be fair. Everybody in this audience will have one of these as a minimum, okay? So why is it not being used as a business entity, not just for reading the news and the weather, okay? And companies that want to emerge as leaders must transform. And if we think about other industries, okay? Amazon was nowhere. Amazon didn't exist. It was the high street. It was places like Walmart that drove that business forward, okay? And then Amazon came on the block, okay? There will be potentially other customers and other entities that will enter this fray that have the ability to completely take over the business if we don't change some of our core organizations. And obviously, as Oracle, the paragraph in orange is really nice, okay? Because it talks about not only digital disruption, but also how software and the software technology. And that doesn't just mean us, obviously there's lots of other vendors here, but it's how we can help you on that journey. Okay, so that's important. If we think about digital disruption, it's not just you, it's about how technology, how applications, how software, how the new way of working can help you. You know, if I come into lots of your organizations and we talk about processes, I'm sure you have those well and truly nailed on paper. Okay? It's how those are translated into assisting the business, how they're driving that influence, okay? How they're driving productivity. That's what counts. You know, so the worst possible thing I can do when I travel the world, which I do, is actually tell somebody that their processes are broken, because in essence they're normally not. It's really how we can improve those processes in an automated way. And again, you will see from just this one graphic, you know, there are different areas, and I'll talk about those individually in a minute. There are percentile gains for doing this. You don't have to consume and eat the whole elephant in one go, okay? You can bite-sized chunk this that will actually deliver incremental benefits back into your organizations. So why, if you haven't started on this journey, are you not? And then, you know, I say everything is around business process and most of you have got it nailed, but in essence, there's still time to learn, and best practice still delivers benefits. So we have two different aspects of driving increased productivity. We have the technology and the digital components, but also the improvement of your processes. Because obviously, as you deploy more and more technology, more and more digital, that can influence how you think about your processes. Does it take away steps? Does it improve how you collaborate? You know, in the old days, we moved things, and lots of organizations still do. Email is the common vehicle for collaboration, okay? That shouldn't be the way in this day and age, especially when we're moving emails with files from one person to another person to another person, okay? Those days are gone. There are tools. We have tools, but so do everybody else that can help you think through that. And again, there's incremental benefits for improving processes at different stages. And the most important is how we work with the supply chain in this space again, because they're doing between 80 and 90% of the work. So again, a collaborative environment where we work with the supply chain is a critical component. So this is what you face on a day-to-day basis. You're all trying to deliver projects, and you all have multiple stakeholders. Okay? On this, I've been easy. I've got 6 stakeholders. You will have 20, 30, 40 different stakeholders, all providing information into yourselves or receiving information from yourselves. Okay? And what, in essence, you're trying to do is something similar to the right-hand side, where you're trying to deliver a piece of scope. Whatever that is, you try and deliver it, okay? And each one of those areas there is usually owned or run by a different department within your organization. And I've been quite generous and removed most of the lines. But still to this day, most of those lines are manumatic. I pass you an email with a file and you fill it in, pass it to somebody else who translates that into a Word document, who then translates that into a PowerPoint and delivers it to the CEO. Okay. What we're trying to move to is more a publish and subscribe model. Okay? Whereas if you have an own data and you're the author of data, you publish it. And then if you need data, you subscribe to that data. Obviously, there's security that needs to take place around that. But in essence, that's the overall model. So in essence, what that changes into is this. It's about collaboration. It's about that publisher's subscription in a common platform. Just that one simple act will enhance the productivity within your business. So we think about modern best practice. Okay? So this isn't Geoff saying this is a good way of working. These are significant entities across the globe that are talking about what modern best practice. So we have the new PMBOK, 6th edition, that's just out. Okay? We have NEC 4, which again is just out. We have the CII Advanced Work Packaging Processes. Okay? These are all modern best practice about how organizations should think, how they should manage their business, how they should manage projects. But in essence, they all talk this language. So all 3 of those modern best practices now talk about collaboration. They talk about how to work with the supply chain and multiple stakeholders. They talk about an integrated approach. And they talk about visibility. So that's not just one of these, that's all of them. They all have messaging and words around how to adopt those 5 key words that you see on that page. Okay? They're all coming your way if they're already not in your business. Okay? It's how you can then take technology to support those messages and how that will deliver value add into your business. And we think about the tools now that actually can support that and the way people are thinking. So here's just some thoughts and ideas. Okay. The cloud, it's been around for a significant period of time now. It's not new. But again, it's how it can be used, why it makes sense to use it. Okay? The cloud makes sense because it's easy access. It allows people to get to information quickly. It prevents having to open the security to your own internal systems. The cloud makes sense in a lot of ways. But I fully understand there are issues around that. So it's about how you think about the cloud. Does the public cloud make sense? Does a private cloud make sense? Does a hybrid model make sense? Okay? Or are you just going to stay with on-prem? All of those things, but why not think about modern technologies and modern ways of helping? Connectivity. Satellites have been around for a long time. They're improving. The speed through satellite communications has improved significantly. But what we're seeing now on lots of sites, even greenfield sites, is pervasive Wi-Fi being set up at day one. So big multi-acre site, brownfield in the desert. Sorry, greenfield in the desert. It's brown, but it's greenfield. In essence, the first thing they do is put up masts on Wi-Fi. Why? Modern organizations that are emerging as leaders. They do it because they can run tools then that will enhance their productivity. So there are ways now of actually delivering this out into the field quick and effective to take account of technology. Smart devices, we've talked about those. Everybody in this room has a smart device. But they're being used now in the true business sense in construction. And if they're not, they should be. And then we have the ability to even move those into explosive areas. So there was always the reason that you couldn't use them in certain facilities. Granted, you still can't use an iPhone in those facilities, but there are ways to wrap them and use them and still use that technology. And then our friend the drone. You know, I've worked with a number of organizations recently where we're working with a materials management partner supporting Oracle. Drones for managing where material is. So that RFID GPS capability is becoming to the fore. okay? Where you can fly something overhead for multiple hours that will not only take account of progress, but also, progress is one thing, that's fine. What I'm talking about here is how it adds value in productivity. You know, my life I've worked prior to coming into this organization was in oil and gas. Okay? Those laid down yards on major brownfield sites and greenfield sites are a complete nightmare. If you tag them effectively, RFID them effectively, you can find pieces of kit within minutes rather than days or just having lost it completely. Okay? And there is times when a critical component, a critical pipe spool, just vanishes. Okay? It lost its tag, it lost its barcode, nobody has a clue where it is. Okay? This is about tracking something from the vendor right the way through. So this isn't just thinking about things that turn up on site. Okay? With modern technology, you can track something basically as soon as a tag is put on it in a vendor yard. That could be pump, compressor, pipe spool, it could be anything. But in essence, we think about major capital projects. They're not just done from the supply chain 20 miles from that site. They're done from the supply chain that's global. Our supply chain now on major capital project is global. So it's about how we understand where that kit is at any point in time. That's the sort of things that we can now start bringing to the table, the enhanced productivity through enhanced technology. Okay. Analytics, we talked about the Internet of Things. We're going to see a lot more management of people on construction sites through the Internet of Things. That exists now. People wearing GPS locators, beacon locators, RFID locators in their helmets. And it's not particularly to track the individual himself. And in fact, in Germany, we couldn't even have this discussion. It's about being able to understand, are certain contractors being productive? Are they working more time at their coalface or in the break areas? It's about having sensible discussions based on known data. At the moment, we can challenge a contractor and you can say, half your boys were actually in the site hut when it was at least half an hour after the break. And the supervisor says, no, they weren't. That's it, end of conversation. That is the end of the conversation because there is no more fact. Okay? Now it's about having sensible discussions. More importantly than that, it's about how do you actually, and again, apologies if I come out of the oil and gas space, how do you sensibly remove people from areas when there are potential issues? How do you know when there's a man down? You know, man down in a refinery is a serious thing, okay? Knowing exactly where that man is critical. So again, we're taking the Internet of Things to, again, enhancing productivity and how we can support that. You know, and I'm currently working on a project within Oracle on how we're actually going to physically link that Internet of Things man component to the activities. So in essence, the ultimate goal in a short space of time is hopefully to assign people to activities and then manage them and understand if they're actually physically working on them. Okay? All part of this Internet of Things. And then real time. Obviously, if we capture this data, the more real-time decisions can be made. And that, again, all of you are working with senior execs. Hopefully some of you are senior execs. You manage by exception. You can't do everything yourself. Okay? You really can't. So if something's going well and you pay somebody a lot of money to do it, let him do it. Okay? But if something's not, that's when you earn your trust as an executive. But it's only when you know about it in near real time you can influence that. You know? Yes, I was part of that project controls team many moons ago that we used to deliver the monthly report. Took us 3 weeks to compile, and there was at least 6-week-old data before it arrived on somebody's desk. That's just a historic record. As an executive, that I can't influence anything. It's been gone, it's happened. Okay? That's where digital technology can support it. So we think about the Mckinsey Report, and I like the Mckinsey Report because it breaks it down into 3 distinct areas. It talks about back office and internal integration, it talks about digital collaboration, and it talks about on-site execution. This is a really good read for those of you out there that want to read it. It really is. It tries to emphasize all of the facts. So we think about the first piece. Okay. And again, I've focused on the IPA recent annual report. Understanding that each one of those departments do their own thing, and you as entities, you may not be part of this UK infrastructure, you may have your own business. You will be managing portfolios. Okay. How do you do that? Okay. Especially if you're not in one location. How do you consolidate work? How do you understand which is the right projects to move forward with? How do you validate which ones to actually deploy? More importantly, you have projects that you potentially will deliver into your organization, but you also have a bunch of projects that are currently being delivered. How do you understand which ones can continue, which ones can't? Okay? Projects will slip. We know that. In essence, especially capital projects, big capital projects, what's the statistic? About 80% deliver late and over budget. Well, that influences which projects you can start in your portfolio. How do you make those decisions? Okay? And if we look at the IPA report, 36 projects in this year, 36 projects out. Who made that decision? What was it based on? Was it objective? Was it subjective? I know in my days in the industry, it was he who shouted loudest got the cash. Okay? That's not a technology-supported decision. Okay? So it's how you bring all that together. And then a bigger component is thinking about the supply chain. So right up front, you can start thinking about how you're going to influence the supply chain. You're going to understand that macro planning. You're going to understand the overall components that you need. It may just be tons of steel, tons of cement, but that's a value if you're looking at across a UK or your whole of your business. It's about what are we doing, how are we managing that, but the ability to capture it from all different sources. So this is where cloud technologies, mobile technologies come into play. Lots of you in this audience will have used our tools, which is really nice, especially from the planning and scheduling component. But still to this day, so many are decentralized, standalone. The value of bringing those together is inordinate. Okay? What's more important and what really adds significant value from a technology perspective is linking that to the supply chain. Okay? So project-driven supply chain. So understanding when a resource is needed in the field, and then tracking that back into the supply chain. And not just by one project, but all of your projects. So that your procurement people can then start to buy in bulk and then make alliances with different vendors. Okay? That helps them up front. But then, on the flip side, what you get then is information flowing back from the vendors into the schedule. Because a lot of planners and schedulers are blind to the fact that a vendor said it can't be delivered for 2 weeks. Simple technology can join these dots up, okay? And project-driven supply chain is the new thinking, the new technology. So, we've moved from decentralized scheduling and planning to enterprise scheduling and planning to integrated with the supply chain scheduling and planning. But it's technology that supports that. You may have had that baked as a process. It's how you enact it that's important. And then cost and change. Cost and change happens on projects, especially the change component. It's how you receive and how you manage change that's critical to organizations. Okay? And it's about how we control that. Change on 455 billion, and that's just the UK infrastructure program. How do you manage that? Do I manage it through receiving letters, emails, PowerPoint, Word? Primavera, MSP, whatever other formats that change comes in? Or do I have a common collaborative platform that allows me to understand that there's only one approach that allows a change to flow into an organization? What is that process? Again, technology can assist that. Yes, some suppliers will kick up the stink that that's not how they normally do business. Tough. You're the manager of that process. You want to receive things in a common standard way. As soon as you start thinking about common standard ways with governance wrapped around it, okay, that's when you can deploy technology to support you in that fact. Okay? If you're still willing to accept change in any format, in any way, you can use any technology you wish. Risk. How do you capture risk? Okay. Again, it's the same as cost. It has to come from the supply chain. You know, they're doing 90% of your work. You can't think up every risk that's happening on a project. Okay? Yes, you can start thinking about the mitigation plans when you know about them, but you don't know all the risks. So it's about, again, it's how we can bring that together. How we can utilize mobility, cloud, digital capability to enact and bring that information all together in one place. That's what's important. That's what brings us together. And how we and how other vendors here can help you in that digital move forward. So that's the front end. Then we talk about true collaboration, and this is about one common platform. Okay? I hate the word single version of the truth, hence the change of the name. It's a common data source. But in essence, it's about, if we think about a typical project, you have the roles within your internal organization. You have the supply chain. You have capabilities you need to manage across the life of delivering that asset. And then you have all of the key business processes, and those are just the PMBOK processes identified there. Bringing all of that together will drive productivity. But it only drives productivity through enhancing it through a digital component. You can't do that manually. That's too hard. That's in the way too hard box. Okay? But there are now technologies to support that. Understanding that it has to be one truly integrated system that will give you that common data source. And then that ties back to my message right at the beginning, when we think about a publish and subscription model to information. That's when this works. Okay? So bringing all of those together is how we generate that. And we think about standardization, scope control. You know, that whole thing about how you manage that supply chain, both internal and external. You know, that's about enacting automated information process flows. Okay? It's taking all of that good stuff you have in paper, all that good stuff you have on whiteboards, and translating that. And again, when the first time we draw it out in an automated tool, it will mirror exactly what you have. But then you'll take account of digital. You'll take account of the smart devices. You'll take account of, you know, clouds. You'll take account of drone type information, IoT. And you will slim that process down inordinately. That is starting to drive the productivity factor within your organization. And again, standardization drives that common vehicle across your supply chain. And then in the field, you know, we think about field work with lean, okay, implementation work packages, materials management, inspections. How often are those done in a manual way to this day? Most of them. Most of them done either with post-it notes on a wall where the supervisor's outlining what his team are doing, okay, for the next week, or it's paper-based, it's notebook-based. It's not about taking a step back and translating that into digital tools to support that. This is a big win for the industry, taking capability out to the field. And everybody says supervisors can't use smart devices. Yes, they can. Even me, as old as me, and there's people older than me in the field. Okay? You ask them what the score was last night, or what the weather's going to be, or what the current headlines are. They will pick up their smartphone out of their pocket and they'll tell you. So we just add capability so they can actually use the device that they're currently using. So that misnomer that's gone around for way too long that supervisors can't use technology is a joke. Okay? But it certainly takes away that notebook, post-it type mentality which exists today. And again, improves productivity and performance. And then, ultimately, we talked about the supply chain. How do you make sure they get paid on time? You know, how does that happen? Okay. We understand that large proportions of the supply chain actually go out of business because we don't pay them effectively. Okay. But often they're not providing us with the information we expect. So we can pay them. So how do we elevate that to the fact where they understand what you want, and then you give them visibility on when they're going to be paid? Again, all this can happen in Excel. Absolutely. Categorically, you can do this in Excel if you wish. How does that drive across the whole of your supply chain? How do you enable them to work effectively with you to provide that information? Again, technology can enhance this. Improving payments to supply chain reduces bids, reduces saving, improves savings. And then bringing all that together into visibility. Okay? You're all doing multiple projects. If you're only doing one, that's great. Most of you aren't. Most of you are doing multiple projects. How you actually rationalize that across your organization. So it's bringing all of those components and making them visible. And again, if that's not done on a common platform, it's extremely difficult. That's when we have lots of people called data input clerks who are feeding the beast. And how often have we heard that? Feeding the beast in the industry. That's not really where we need to be. Feeding the beast is long gone. This is about people authoring information, publishing it, and subscribing to that information when it makes sense. So where are you? I'm not going to say where you are on this curve. But there's a typical maturity as you move forward. And that's not only a business transformation, but also a digital and technology transformation. How are you going to influence your thinking in your business? How is that going to help? How is that going to drive things forward? I like this slide. And it doesn't say a lot, but it does say a lot. Okay? So why transform and not change? Because the industry I know, we're very good at the status quo. We're very good at inertia. Those two are totally incompatible with operational excellence. Okay? So you get them right, you think about how you change those, and you up those, we start to move towards that operational excellence component. Operational excellence is about all of those essences we've talked about. So, as Oracle, it would do me no favors with my peers if I didn't actually say this. So we obviously support that. So, one slide, I'm allowed to get away with one slide that talks about what we do. But in essence, we support, as you'd expect, the technology that delivers that. And across the whole asset delivery. And we do it for a lot of people. But one final thought. And this is an important final thought. Okay? 6%. It's not a big number really, is it? Okay? You take 6% of what your program is. okay? And think about how you could reuse that, okay? Or what that is as a saving to your entity. That's a big number, okay? And that's driven just by applying digital technology. And that's not because Geoff said, okay? That's because clever people out there that have done lots and lots of reviews of projects are saying that this is the value that you can get through doing that. So why not start on that journey? Why not go incremental? Why not earn your 1% and 2% and get to 6% quickly? Because that's significant on anybody's program of work. And if we link this back to the infrastructure annual report, effective transformation will reduce the number of projects that are due to fail in terms of delivering those savings. So, my time is up, very much so. The lady at the back has told me my time is up, which is very generous of her. I have 2 minutes to answer questions. If there's any questions out there, I will be here for the full day at the Oracle stand, as will some of my colleagues. We're always happy to talk to you about any of these topics. Please feel free to talk to us. So if there's any burning question, let's have it, or we'll take them at the stand. We'll take them at the stand. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.